of their journey so far. Lucknow Super Giants and Chennai Super Kings. Lucknow Super Giants on a three-match winning streak. On the other hand, Chennai Super Kings are on a five-match losing streak. And despite a change in captain, there was no change in fortune for them, unfortunately, with MS Dhoni at the helm. Will things change here at the Ekana? To discuss further on this, I have my colleague from Cricketing, Samar Panikar, joining me. Amar, welcome to this pre-match show. And first of all, let's begin with the very obvious question itself. We are seeing visuals of MS Dhoni doing some kind of sprintings and all of those things. Maybe match fitness or something. Anything that you have heard, anything that you have observed in terms of is he fully fit, or again, like last time around when our colleague Harshad Bish from I think it was Mullanpur had reported that might be the case where he might not be playing. Do you see anything of that sort happening, or is just something that we are reading too much into the situation right now?
Yeah, I think we are reading too much into the situation. Dhoni is going to play. He will play this rest of the season, regardless of what's going to happen to his knee, whatever injury issues he has. He's going to play this season. That's not going to change. One thing I'll be interested in seeing is how much of more batting responsibility he's going to take. Yeah, in the first few games he came in very late, and since all the social media chatter that's been going around regarding his batting position, he has come up the order, which is surprising. So I would be interested in knowing whether if all this talk really got to him. So yeah, so I think maybe he might be even looking to up things a bit more. Who knows? Maybe he might come out in the top order. I mean, that's what we want to see, but whether we'll actually get to see it, that's a whole different case. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. That batting has been shambolic to say the least. No Gaikwad, so yeah, things aren't looking very pretty for the men in yellow. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they can turn things around.
Would be interesting to see if they try and turn things around, because that has been the main biggest worry for them, lack of intent in terms of being chasing high scores. And you did talk about MS Dhoni coming up the order, but hasn't really had the kind of impact, right? Even though he has come up the order, you're not seeing that kind of intent. Even though he what the 11th over, 12th over, he has come up to bat, but there's no intent in terms of the Dhoni of the old that we have seen. Whenever somebody comes in, of Dhoni stature, that we are going to see fireworks. But that has not been the case. Very sedate kind of an approach. But so my question is, do you think would that help him coming up the order? Might as well just change up a few personals, right? I mean, the blaring question mark is on somebody like Ravindra and Ashwin. You're in your head, you're thinking him as an all-rounder if he comes ahead of an MS Dhoni, but nowhere near that T20 kind of batting that you need. Yes, he did a few of good hittings for Rajasthan Royals, and he was part of that squad. But then again, you are not just getting that much out of from a batting point of view from an R Ashwin there. So again, the question remains: Dhoni coming up the order, how much of a difference is going to make with if the approach or the intent itself isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned about Ashwin coming up the order and all that, see, it is a experiment they can try considering their position. They have nothing to lose, so they might as well try everything there is with their squad. So I mean, maybe they can consider him coming up at three and all, having a whack around for like 2 overs and then retiring him out if nothing's happening. So, I mean, that is something you would expect an Ashwin to do. I'm pretty sure he's done that before as well. So, uh, yeah, I mean, the guy, I'm sure CSK will be desperate for the win. So, uh, I think options are open, but again, certain personnel, like you mentioned, who hasn't been stepping up really, someone like a Rahul Tripathi, Deepak Huda, who came in as an impact sub in that game against KKR, I believe. These guys really haven't stepped up. Vijay Shankar, he had that 50, but even that also wasn't really that impressive, so to say. uh, I think it will be very important that they get their top order, that for one, two, and three correct. Because if they are going to have any chance, any remote chance of getting a big score on the board or even chasing it, they need that top order to fire somehow. So it just comes down to whether they can really figure that out. Rachin and Conway, they play for New Zealand. They are well experienced international guys, so I expect those two to stick around. But that number three position, I think it's up for grabs. Now that Gaikwad isn't there.
That is true. And one of the biggest issues, Amar, that has been for CSK is the fact that you did talk about somebody like a Rachin Ravindra and Devon Conway have to step up or they will stick around, but they are not your, out and out T20 kind of batters. They are more suited for the ODI format, and that is where probably the trouble is. Yes, then the number three, of course, with the big void of Ruturaj Gaikwad. Who do you pick? You had a Deepak Huda as an impact sub the last time around because you needed that batting depth. Rahul Tripathi, you had tried. You have somebody like a Sheikh Rashid, the youngster there with the squad for 3 years. We are hearing Ayush Mathare has been named as a replacement for Ruturaj Gaikwad. Maybe he gets a game or not because he was called in as a mid-season trial there. But yeah, a lot of issues in terms of the top four. Not just MS Dhoni. That is the whole point. I mean, everybody is talking about MS Dhoni not firing and MS Dhoni not showing the intent, but it's the others who have not really stepped up. I mean, you look at the last season's. Personals that you had and look at the kind of personals that you have right now. There's an absolute mismatch there, and Rituraj Gaikwad not opening was also another cause of concern. So a lot of concerns, at least from a batting point of view, and that is where it is. Anywhere, it seems, Amar, to the point where if you're scoring above 180 against this Chennai Super Kings side, you are guaranteed a win.
Yeah, pretty much. What you said is like bang on, straight to the point. But I would, speaking on the whole Rachin Conway situation, it will. I still think they need to continue with them because they don't have really any other options,
Absolutely,
so
yeah,
to say.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think they continue with that combination, see how it goes. But see, I know they don't fit into that mold of the typical T20 player, like someone like a pair of Travis Head or an Abhishek Sharma. But I think they have the game to at least come close, so to say. So I think they are their best shot at getting a win, and it just comes down to whether they can really click today. And it'll be interesting to see what the pitch is like in Lucknow, because you've seen the Lucknow guys, just thrashing the bowlers in the power play. When you have someone like a Mitchell Marsh and Hayden Markram, who go absolutely bonkers, in those first 6 overs. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether they can match that intensity, especially in the first 6 overs. And like you said, scoring 180 and above is the game plan to beat CSK. But if these guys can at least maximize that first 6 overs, with a couple of risky shots and get those boundaries going for them, I think they will fancy their chances regardless of what the numbers may dictate. So it'll be interesting, and I would be more interested to see if they make any changes, in the middle order, somewhere in the batting unit. I mean, there we know there isn't much to work with, but yeah, I mean, couple of these young guys could be given a go. Gaikwad was also at one point, he was a youngster in the side. Nobody had heard of him, and then he came in, got a few games, and then they will backed him for the next season as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Interesting to see, and very interesting also because you have had the toss just now, and I was just going through the pitch report and what Darren Ganga, the former West Indian opener, was saying that it would be better to bat first on this kind of a surface, and then a lot of change in pace and everything that you would see. But very interestingly, despite winning the toss, Chennai Super Kings, MS Dhoni, Chennai Super Kings have opted to bowl first. Would be very interesting to see what is the logic behind it. But yeah, right from the start, you were talking about the Ekana pitch in itself, Amar. This is playing right into the hands of LSG, you think, or it is kind of negating the LSG strength that because if you have a target in their heads, LSG batters are very, you know, batting heavy unit, and they'll be much more prepared to chase down a target rather than setting a target. Do you think that is a logic? Because going by what the pitch report were, batting first would have been the better option here. But yes, Chennai Super Kings have gone on and chosen to bowl first.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting decision by Dhoni. Yeah, like you said, the ideal scenario here would have been to, uh, bat first, considering how the pitch can be really good for the batters, especially in the first few overs. But yeah, it's an interesting call. Dhoni, he might not be the same batter he once was, but I'm pretty sure he still has that brain running for him. So he has the cricketing IQ. So he must have some plans whipped up. Uh, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Dhoni and what the message from Dhoni is from the team, and how they go about this game. So yeah, I mean the bowlers, they probably their best part, in terms of the squad as a whole, has been the bowlers, especially someone like a Khalil Ahmed and Noor Ahmed, who have been doing very well. Khalil in the power play, Noor Ahmed through the middle overs and all. So these two need to really put in a performance, if they are to stand a chance. I mean, whether they're going to restrict LSG under 180 is a different question altogether. But these guys needs to come up with the wickets, in crucial moments. So it'll be interesting to see how LSG can go about this.
Very interesting to see how LSG go about it. And at the toss, also, what we were thinking in terms of bowling, batting first would be a better option. Both the captains have their logic here because Dhoni says that the reason they opted to bowl first that he expects due to player factors, so he probably need wants to bowl first. On the other hand, Rishabh Pant also said he would have also liked to bowl first if they had won the toss, but the reason being he thinks the pitch would be slower in the first half and it'll get gradually better. So different logics there from the two wicketkeeper batters there. So very it would be interesting to see who gets who has the right pick here or who has made the best decision. But then again, another big thing is there are two changes in the playing 11 for Chennai Super Kings, and as expected, Ravichandran Ashwin is out. They have replaced him with an all-rounder, batting all-round, bowling all-rounder, or big hitting batting all-rounder, so to speak, in Jamie Overton. And finally, Devon Conway is also out. Very interesting call because Sheikh Rashid comes in. Sheikh Rashid, I don't remember him opening the batting. He plays primarily at number three, so it would be interesting to see if he opens alongside Rachin Ravindra or he comes at number three. So you probably have somebody like a Rahul Tripathi or open innings. We would have the playing 11 up first up, and one more change for Lucknow Super Giants is the fact that Mitchell Marsh is back. He did not play the last game because of some personal issues, personal reasons. His daughter was unwell, so Himmat Singh is out and comes back in. Mitchell Marsh slots are right back in. First thoughts, Summer, on terms of the playing 11 and the kind of changes that they have made. Rachin Ashwin out. Probably we have seen the last of him, maybe. And Jamie Overton, picking Jamie Overton. And of course, Devin Conway being subbed out. He was also retired out the last time around. A very interesting call there.
Yeah, I was just telling you earlier, how when all the spotlight was on Dhoni, and then he pushed himself up the order. It was a similar situation with Ashwin. He was getting a lot of flack from former cricketers, Tamil Nadu-based cricketers, and now they've come out and just dropped him. So it's very interesting to see how these moves come in. And yeah, I mean, it's a big move nonetheless. Bit more positive signs, I would say. They are trying someone like Rashid in. And Overton, he had that one game, I believe, earlier in this season, and
Yes.
he had a brief cameo, albeit in a losing cause. But he showed that he is that big hitter. He can be that guy who can hit those quick runs at the final overs. So yeah, it's a big move. But I mean, dropping Conway, I'm 50-50 on that. But again, they didn't have much of a choice. If they wanted to bring a Overton in, the whole overseas quota comes into play. But yeah, fair enough. They've made proactive changes. So I think we have to give them the credit for that. But yeah, but the big news for LSG, Marsh coming in, that just makes their uh, top order even more explosive now. So it'll be interesting to see how the new ball bowlers like a Khalil or an Anshul Kamboj, they can really tackle this explosive opening pair.
So most likely, I think it would be Rahul Tripathi who should be opening alongside Rachin Ravindra, even though it is a Sheikh Rashid who has been listed as a fellow opener alongside Rachin Ravindra there. But I am not really sure if we will be seeing Sheikh Rashid opening the batting. It most likely would be Rahul Tripathi to try and give that impact, that a few good runs at the power play itself, and that probably would be his role. So that's the playing 11 for you down at the ticker. Sheikh Rashid, Rachin, Ravindra, Rahul Tripathi, Vijay Shankar at 4, Jadeja started at 5, Jamie Overton at 6, Dhoni at 7, Anshul Kamboj, who did really well the last time around that he played, Noor Ahmed, the purple cap holder, or at least the person who's leading, who's the top contender, and of course Khalil Ahmed and Mathisha Pathrana. We will have the LSG squad quite shortly as well. In the meantime, let's take a few comments as well. Our regular viewer, sports fan, has commented Ayush Mathare got drafted in. Sheikh Rashid gets a chance. Perhaps CSK realizing youngsters need to be blooded in. Amar, I think sports fan, this was something, I don't know. It was Stephen Fleming who had said that, or it was Mike Hussey, in fact, who said that we will try and see till the time we have a chance at the playoffs, qualifying for the playoffs. We will try and do this with the experience that we have with the tried and tested method. So is it a way of saying that the playoff hopes are just gone? So might as well blood in the youngsters, or do you think they really are looking to uh, turn things around with the youngsters coming in?
Uh, I mean, trying to end the season here itself, I think it's a very early call, But yeah, I think they've just run out of options essentially. They've tried and tested quite a few guys this season, but it hasn't really worked out. Clearly the experience lot weren't working. So yeah, I think it's a big positive move from them. I think it's about time, these guys gave some youngsters a go, because they had this whole tagline of being, dad's army, so to say. It'll work for a few years, but it's not going to work for you every time. So yeah, yeah, I mean, it's a big move to bring in Sheikh Rashid. I'm really interested to see how this kid goes. But I think going down the line, if someone like an Ayush can get a chance, in this side, that would also be interesting, because in the long term, it could mean that someone like a Gaikwad goes back up top. Mahatre can play at 3 or 4, wherever, and then I think that is also equally enticing, so to say. But yeah, I mean, as long as these guys made some changes, I'm pretty sure there has been enough chatter in the dressing room, so to say. So, uh, good on them to really make things proactive.
Yeah, they, as you said, they don't have much of an option and really choice. Five on a 5 match losing streak is pretty much, from here on, it's a very, very uphill task. And of course, when you're playing a team who's riding high on confidence, the way Lucknow Super Giants are, it becomes even more tougher for you to make that a turnaround. So you would really need to, push your luck in terms of blooding in youngsters or blooding in new guys and see what you can do. On that note, let's move a bit. We are about 20 minutes away from the start of play. Let's play some fantasy cricket here as well for our viewers who are logged in also. Would be very difficult in terms of picking a lot of Chennai Super Kings guys here. But then again, if you had to pick your fantasy 11, who would be your main big players and pick? Because we have one team here, right, for our viewers, and as you can see, it's mostly LSG players. Nicholas Pooran, the captain for us there. Shivam Dubey, the impact sub as the vice captain. It's a big punt that we are taking with Mitchell Marsh coming in. You also have a David Miller, Aiden Markram, who's back in form. Shardul Thakur, anyway, even if he goes for runs, he tends to get wickets. Khalil Ahmed has been in the thick of wickets. Noor Ahmed also in the thick of wickets. Digvesh Rathi, again, very impressive with his economy as well as wicket taking abilities. And you also have somebody like a Matisha Patrana. Devon Conway, you probably would have to get that out of that 11. But then again,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna
what would
change
be
that up.
what are you going to do? who's your pick in terms of changing Devon Conway, and who are you putting your money on? Why?
Oof, I have the top LSG top order like pretty much sorted. I'm thinking between Rachin and maybe even a Sheikh Rashid. I don't know much about the kid. I think you might know more about him than I do. But yeah, I think I would take a punt at him in that side. Uh, Another change I probably could consider is probably dropping Pathirana because I don't know whether he's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
as.
Even I would have done that. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think he has been on the money, with the ball this season. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, those are probably the two changes I would make. And Dubé, since he is an impact sub, I think I would have to switch him as well. So uh, I think I would consider bringing in an Abdul Samad because he has shown the that finishing ability that people have been waiting for so many years. When he was with SRH, so he's shown that he can really turn things up with the bat. So I think I might give him a shot. And among the bowlers, I think maybe a Kamboj or probably. Um, and Akashdeep maybe. But
Yeah,
I
Kamboj and Akashdeep could be a good choice in place of Matisha Pasrana for sure. At least looking at, but because you're looking at a bigger ground in Ekana, you're looking at a lot of people saying that it will get slower. Also, you're looking at the Q factor as in there. So very difficult in terms of do you pack your 11 with maybe a bit of spinners as well. Ravi Bishnoi was in terrific form the last game that he played. You want to bring in a Ravi Bishnoi, or you want to stick to somebody like a Ravindra Jadeja as one extra spinner because you already have a Noor Ahmed and Digvesh Rathi. Maybe this was the game of the spinners, maybe not. So would be very interesting on that regard. So that was our playing fantasy 11 kind of tips. If you are interested to do, put that out in your playing 11 as well, and do let us know if you got some good bugs out of it or not. For that matter, Harshit Bish, our cricketness guy, who's also kind of a fantasy expert, also tweeting it that he has put Nicholas Pooran, Mitchell Marsh as the captain and vice captain. So clearly, Ashit is thinking that this is going to be a 200 plus 220 kind of a target that will be set by Lucknow Super Giants for sure. She's also saying another interesting question that he asks. Amar, is that why is Sam Curran not getting a place in the 11? Is Overton a better player than him? At least from my side, it's not that Overton is a better player, but then again, if you need that finishing ability, that intent, I think Jimmy Overton ticks that box better than a Sam Curran. Of course, Sam Curran, a class all rounder there, could bat up the order as well, can give you decent amount of runs. But I think they are looking at a big hitter who can give you that impact down the order, maybe to consolidate what an MS Dhoni would have expected to do. But if you're not getting that out of an MS Dhoni, the closest to that in that lineup is probably Jamie Overton. Your take on that, Amar?
I mean, I understand where Harshit is coming from, so I get the question. But see, Sam Curran, he's also someone who has opened as well briefly. Very briefly, he had that stint at the top of the order as well. So he's shown that he really whack the ball, especially in the power play. So why not make use of him? That is a very valid question. Even I was considering the same thing. Sam Curran, he's someone who's played like so many years of IPL and whatnot. So why doesn't this guy get a place in the 11? He can bat, he can bowl, he can do pretty much anything you need. You need a new ball bowler, he can do that. He can bowl in the death. He can pretty much do anything you want. Yet they are not taking advantage of his abilities. This guy is a T20 World Cup winner, so I don't see why he is still being benched, so to say. So yeah, it is a very interesting choice by the management. But yeah, they've done what they've done, and they've gone with someone like an Overton, but who I believe he is more limited to. I would just consider him as a out and out finisher rather than a proper all rounder, because I don't really think that his bowling is up to par, at least from what I've seen in recent times.
I think we probably might be missing somewhere in the terms of Jamie Overton can give you really, he bowls quick as well, and maybe that is something with the new ball. He's trying to, MS Dhoni and CSK would be trying to unsettle the openers, be it Mitchell Marsh or Nicholas Pooran, or maybe Aiden Markram there, just beat them with the pace. So that is where I think Jamie Overton would come in. I think that is the reason why he's there in that 11. Sports fan, also another interesting comment that Sam Curran is in the impact sub, but sports fan, I don't think so. I don't think so. Sam Curran would come in there because Shivam Dubey is your designated hitter down the order, right? So I think that role would be that impact sub role if they are batting second would definitely be on a Shivam Dubey because to bring in Sam Curran as an impact sub, it is like in the last game you brought in a Deepak Hooda because you wanted to stem that flurry of wickets, right? So you brought in a Deepak Hooda. In this case, I still think that they will go with a Shivam Dubey. Not that I'm a big fan of Shivam Dubey or not that he has done anything, but if you want somebody to give you an impact, it is more likely to be a Shivam Dubey than a Sam Curran with the bat. The value of Sam Curran comes in the playing 11 because you can utilize him as a bowler and as a batter. Having Sam Curran in the impact sub list and bringing him
Yeah,
in
and
just for one of
also
these things, yeah, yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Amar.
and also Sam Curran, he won't be able to come into the playing 11 as well because they have already four overseas. You have a Rachin, you have Overton, you have Noor, you have Patirana. So he does not, that position in the impact sub is pretty much wasted, so to say.
Harshad, I'm coming from Noida. For me, Karan is a lot better. What connection does it have with you coming from Noida? Because Karan seems to be a better option than Overton at this point in time. But anyway, yeah, CSK needs a batter. But yeah, that to my point, so CSK need a batter to give you an impact. Maybe if you needed that, you probably wanted somebody like Sam Curran there, but they have gone ahead with Sheikh Rashid. So at least I'll give that to CSK that they're trying there. And Amar, you did briefly mention about Sheikh Rashid, what kind of a player he's a right-hander batter. He's pretty much like to like what a Ruturaj Gaikwad is right now. Not a big hitter, doesn't have the greatest of T20 strike rate, that eye-popping strike rate of 150 or 160 plus, strikes at 120, 130 only, but a very eye-pleasing batter to watch. Something similar to that Ruturaj Gaikwad mold, and that is the reason why I said more than the opening slot where he was really pointed in the playing 11, he will come at number three and Rahul Tripathi at number two. But yeah, if you didn't have a Sheikh Rashid picked in the 11, I would definitely have gone with Harshit's option of adding a Sam Curran there and don't have a Jamie Overton at all. But yeah, clearly what the CSK management looking at is the fact that they need to create that impact with the bat when it is there. They know even if how good a bowling attack is, the batting unit is so strong that huffing and puffing, if you reach that 180, 190 mark, you still need that firepower to chase it down. And Dhoni alone is not able to do it. Ravindra Jadeja alone is not able to do it. So you need more of that batting. That is where a Jamie Overton comes in, and I think that is where a Shivam Dubey would come in as an impact sub.
Yeah, it's a very valid argument. And I think Shivam Dubey will have a role to play, especially against that spin duo of Ravi Bishnoi and Digvesh Rathi. It'll be interesting to see if he comes up with a notebook celebration again.
That too against
Consider.
Dhoni. Wow.
No, not necessarily against Dhoni. It's just that the guy has been fined for more than his auction price. So I don't know where he's going to get all this money from. So it'll be interesting to see whether he keeps himself in check or whether he's going to whip up with another crazy celebration.
Yeah, would be very interesting to see that. On that note, Sportsman on LSG. LSG is reaping benefit of in from Pooran, but their top three cannot carry the batting all the season. Pant and LSG middle order may get tested. They will get tested somewhere down the line for sure. But Sportsman, don't forget, three straight wins so far. It's all been down to these top three. Eden Markham was not in form. He's in form. Mitchell Marsh comes back. You had Rishabh Pant. I think, Amar, for me, the only chink in the armor, at least for now, is Rishabh Pant not in form because down the order, you still not have seen the full impact or full effect of somebody like a David Miller. If given the chance, he probably would come out because the kind of class finisher that he is. So the only chink there is Rishabh Pant, but we cannot really be that pessimist in the way that just not the batting is not going to carry them all the season long. But that is what their thinking is. That is why they have such a formidable batting unit that lined up, that they'll expect. If a Marsh fails, you have a Pooran who will fire. If a Pooran fails, you have an Eden Markram who will fire. And yeah, there might come a game or two where all the three fail, but so far we have not seen that. At least one of them has definitely been firing, and Marsh and Nicholas Pooran both are in the top 10 or top 5, in fact, of the purple orange cap tally. So it's working for them. So we can say that, we can argue that, oh, it's not going to happen every time these three or these top four would perform, but that's happening right now, right? I mean, it is, but the top four are performing for them at least in every game.
Yeah, it's like, why change something if it's not broken? So far these three have been absolutely going ballistic on the bowlers. They're showing no mercy whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, Rishabh Pant, yeah, his form is a concern, but I think that is just a matter of when he's going to come back to form. I don't think he's going to be out for too long, and I don't think he has that much pressure on him, batting wise, to do the heavy lifting, which is a big thing. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Uh,
I was
okay,
just saying, Amar said, I don't know where she's coming from. Just want to answer that. Okay, okay. So that, that connection there, but then again, doesn't remove the fact that
yeah,
you still think coming from Noida, Sam Curran is a better option. If I was from Delhi, I'd probably say Jamie Orton a better option. But then again, yeah. Let's look at other comments. Harshit again. Khalil Noor, Jadeja, Patrana, instead of five sorted bowlers. As a sixth option, Karan would have been better. Better. I understand consistency is an issue with Karan of late, but he has got more experience of playing IPL and he can bat 3, 4, 5, 6. But you need one position there. I mean, and for me, it is that 5 and 6 position. That is where I think the debate over Karan versus Overton was. So if you need somebody to come at with 2 overs left and hit those big sixes at will, I think you are better off looking at
yeah.
Jimmy Overton than a Sam Curran.
The guy is pretty much built for that. He
Yeah,
just needs to come in and whack the ball. That is his job. So yeah, I mean, if it was somewhere in the top order, I would bank on someone like a Current, but that isn't the case with these guys. They need some more firepower in the middle order. So the pressure on someone like a Dhoni also, comes down a bit, especially in those couple of chases where Dhoni was out, uh, coming out to bat. You had a Vijay Shankar who was probably taking singles and doubles and whatnot and not able to find the boundary. So I think that is the major concern that these guys have addressed by bringing Overton in. And yeah, so far they've made changes. That is a big positive. Whether these changes will work, we'll come to know once the game starts.
they'll have to work. They'll have to work these changes. If not, then would be very difficult even for CSK or even Amazon to turn this season around for sure. As we mentioned, five matches they have lost on the on the bounce now, and high time they turned that season around. There were a lot of expectations when Dhoni took over from Ruturaj Gaikwad in the last game, but then again it was even worse, one of their worst defeats ever in the IPL history. The kind of intent that they, or the lack of intent that they showed. On the other hand, yes, LSG, we have talked about them enough in terms of how they are, in a way, overpowering their negativities with the ball, or their lack of, bowling depth with the kind of batting depth that they have. The only question here is Rishabh Pant. Amar, on Rishabh Pant, last game you saw Pant opening the batting in if Marsh was when Marsh was unavailable. Now Marsh comes in for sure. He comes in there. But do you think it's maybe something that they want to try and have Pant open the innings and see if he works out? Because in the middle overs, you're not able to see that the kind of Pant that we want to see. Even though that might be a case where you say, "Ki, why, as you mentioned, why break something or why change something which is working for you, the Marsh and needed Markham combination." But just to get that form back for Rishabh Pant, do you see sticking to that opening slot, or he will come back because Marsh is coming in?
uh, if I had to make the decision, Punk comes in at 4, but you never know what these guys might do. They might want to pull up with a surprise on CSK. But yeah, I mean, I think Punk should come in at 4, uh, because the top three has been amongst the best top orders in this season. Not probably the best, but amongst the few best. top orders. So I don't want them to change this combination because it's been going well so far. So Marsh has been that guy who takes the attack initially. Markham kind of gets into his groove, but yeah, these guys have been absolutely destructive, and I don't see any reason why this needs to be changed. And for Pant, he's played at number 4 for enough time, so I think it's just a matter of when this guy is able to put up a decent knock. And who knows, maybe even today he might come in with few of those unorthodox, crazy shots, and maybe even surprise MS Dhoni for once.
Surprising MS Dhoni forwards, yeah, could be interesting. Uh, we are what 2 minutes away from the start of play, and we have that CSK team huddle right now in front of us. MS Dhoni leading that charge would be saying that this is do or die. They're pretty much in a situation where it is do or die. Every game they have to win to make their play to the playoffs. That is, look back at the impact subs that the both teams have. We have already discussed about the playing 11s at length for sure. Lucknow Super Giants impact sub Ravi Bishnoi, of course, he would come in place of Abdul Samad when they come out to bowl, and you have Prince Yadav, Shahbaz Ahmed, Matthew Brinsky, and Himmat Singh. For Chennai Super Kings, again discussed at length. Shivam Dubey, Kamlesh Nagarkoti, Ramakrishna Ghosh, Sam Karan, and Deepak Hooda. Most likely, it would be Shivam Dubey who would come in, is what you might be thinking. Harshit is not just letting go of Sam Curran today. I think more comment from him, who is going to be the one player who can script CSK's win today. Definitely not Sam Curran, Harshit Bish, that I can tell you. As of now, I don't think there's any, but I would bet on Noor. What about you? Him against Pooran would be a great contest. I think in what context is Harsh saying this? But then again, let's go back to his first question. Who's going to be that one player who can script CSK's win today? Amar, is
See,
anybody going to script CSK's win today or not? Is the first question. And primarily, if secondly, if they do, who would be that player?
See, Noor has had games where he's performed well, but CSK ended up losing. So I'm not putting my money on Noor. So I think it has to be a batter that really turns up. If CSK stands a chance at winning, and if I had to put my money on someone, I think it has to be someone like a Dubey, because the guy has that ability to hit sixes. I know you're not a big fan of him, uh, but I am betting my money on that guy, hoping that he can really take on the bowlers today, and possibly take them to the win.
Possibly take them to the win. Shivam Dubey. Wow. So yeah, on one side I have another colleague talking about Sam Curran. On the other hand, I have somebody talking about Shivam Dubey. Not the greatest of fans of both the two. Maybe, at least for me, if you ask me, Harshit, I don't think CSK would be able to turn things around. I would have definitely thought somebody like a Devon Conway had the ability in him to do that, but you have put him out of the squad. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how this game pans out. Khalil Ahmed as the new ball, and he bowls it to Aiden Markram first up. So we are underway, and that's a signal for us to take your leave as well. So it was quite interesting conversation, just not just with me and Amar, Harshit also butting in quite a lot with this Sam Curran jibes there. Hopefully, we'll see Sam Curran maybe come as an impact sub. Who knows? I may be wrong, and Sam Curran comes in as the impact sub. Let's wait and watch. But it was an interesting conversation any which way. Thank you, Amma, for joining in, and thank you for all the viewers joining in. We'll be back with the post-match session for this as well. So do join in. So till that time, it is me alongside Amar signing off. Thank you for tuning in.